Yeah. Woo. All right. That was a struggle. Holy smokes. Give me a few moments to go over here, try to set it up. Holy smokes, that is crazy. Whoop. Cancel. I don't want to do that. Boop, 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 boop. All right. Struggle is real. I'm trying to get this set up, trying to get it going. Whew. Reset. Have it up and running. Got that going. Boop, boop. We are live. We're all going over there. All right. Welcome to episode 8 of the Barely There podcast. That's right. We're barely here. We barely made it. How's it going? Well, let's bear in mind that we're going to end up trying to have some kind of fun. So what I'm planning on doing is doing a little update of what we got going on, talking about random stuff that goes on, and hopefully, if anyone checks on in, we'll end up having some interesting conversations. In this thing, we end up unlocking something that is pretty amazing that you're going to end up seeing specifically on our YouTube channel. It's going to be something that's exciting because we officially hit over 200 subscribers. That's right. We ended up hitting 200 subs, and that ends up opening up a special sweepstakes giveaway. That's right. The thing that everyone ends up liking. What's that giveaway is going to end up including? Well, we'll break that down in a little bit later. So, how is everyone doing? How is it going? Is it going off the hook? I hope so. I'm trying to do a little bit new of a setup that we end up having here. We're going to end up visiting Panel Bound Comics because they have a nice little sale going on right now that you can end up picking up books from. It's a great way to be able to prep yourself for Batman Day. It's not as good as it was last week, and that's why we ended up having our single Sundays pushed back. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Because I kind of wanted to try to get some guys out there with the massive sales that they ended up having. It's a great way to be able to prep for Batman Day. So, with that being said, if you end up going over, let me see if I got my banner still. I do. Go over there to pick up anything. Use the code FIFITJACK to save $2 off. If you have 4 or more books, use the code JACK together to save 5% off your entire order instead. Orders of $30 or more ends up getting free mail shipping. That way you get it shipped right over into you the exact way that you end up wanting it. You ended up seeing how bomb-proof that PBC's packing is for you. All right. So I think I wanted to talk about adaptations. I think that's what we're going to go over and talk about right now. Well, there's a couple good adaptations that we've been having. Like we have a continuation with X-Men 97. However, it's important that X-Men 97 or the original X-Men animated show ended up having adaptations that was over in the comic books that ended up retelling the stories that they ended up having in this show. But that's not the only adaptations that we end up having. Another one's going to be where you end up having Batman, the animated show. That also had adaptations that went over into the comic book world where you can end up picking up an omnibus that ends up having adaptations. However, there's 2 big differences. So with the X-Men adaptations that they ended up having is where they kind of told the story of a general story of what the episode has of the show. However, in Batman, the Adventures of adaptation, you end up having it where it's told in the world of the Batman animated show, where you end up having similar art and everything that goes on with that. And it's kind of like a more of original stories that you end up having. So there's something that's unique about this where you can end up having multiple different ways. A few more examples is like Harry Potter, where you end up having the books being adapted into the movies, which you can end up seeing in various different ways that comes over with that. There are some changes that you can end up finding into these adaptations. Because honestly, whenever there's stuff being adapted, I haven't seen anything that goes complete copy of what was being adapted. Which leads into another thing is, like I said, I always going to end up covering Batman Day or something that's a really good prep for Batman Day. And that will end up being, let me go over and share screen real quick. Share screen. And Poundbound Comics, share that screen. That would be this screen right here, where if you go to Poundbound Comics, you end up having various things. A new series that came out this week, specifically this week, is going to be Lanterns. Lanterns, I have to say, it was a pretty good first thing. Who's your favorite Lantern? Let us know down in the comments down below. Personally, I'm a Stewart fan. Grew up with him with being in the Justice League, and I kind of ended up liking it. Everyone would say Hal Jordan, but I'm staying with Stewart. But you have great ways that you'll be able to pick that up, especially like the Jeff Johns entire run of that. You have 1 through 3 of the Jeff Johns, which has amazing stories into it. If you end up wanting more Lantern action, you have the Tomasi and Gleason comics that has the 2 different omnibuses that you have. You have the exclusives that you end up having. This Radiant Black is something new that Poundbound Comics ends up having. This is both 1 and 2 have a different, what you call it, sleeves that goes over top of that. So you end up having that awesome art that you end up having. You have Batman Detectives by Ron V. You have that omnibus that's coming out. And then you also have the deluxe of Poison Ivy. And you still have the art of Tyler Kirkham, the slipcase of that. So that's going to be some solid stuff that comes over with that. New weekly releases. Let's see what we got here. King in Black coming back with a new print. Okay. Recharge. Jupiter's. Okay. Nothing. Brand new day. That must be the art book for that. But all right, let's go back over here and let's go over what we're boldly talking. You see right down here, you have the different ways that you have. They have the Justice, or they have the Green Lantern way to be able to get into that, to see that going on. And then you also end up having the summer sale that they have going on right now. But the main reason that we are over here is to talk about Batman and the Batman titles. Right now, this is Batman Day 2026 sale that they end up having. This is great to be able to have, to be able to set up, to be able to have that Batman stories that you're looking for. Solid stories along the ways that you end up having. You have you have all 3 of the Batman by Morrison. You have the Journey of No Man's Land, Nightfall, the Scott Snyder, 1 and 2. Definitely solid books that you end up having. You have, like I was talking about with adaptations, you have Batman Adventures, the Omnibus, which is a great adaptation of that. And then I would say this would be a great way to be able to get introduced to Batman is Batman by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. You have an awesome art. You have a good stories. There is important things about this book is that you end up having these different stories that you have. I know for sure Long Halloween, Dark Victory, and I believe Haunted Night all have an absolute. So if you're a big absolute fan, you want to be saving that or picking those up, you can end up picking that up. But it's nice to have them all in one home. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Batman, Tom King. I did have a video that ended up breaking down the top 10 books that I think that you should be picking up from this entire sale. And if I was getting new into it, I'd be introducing that's something I would end up doing. While we're right here, let's talk about something. We hit 200 subscribers. Earlier last, it might be in last year, it might be early enough to where it was this year, but we had a goal. At 200 subscribers, we would end up having a giveaway. Now, it's not going to be this. It's not going to be an absolute Batman. It's going to be a regular hardcover where we're going to end up having specifically the directions of how to be able to enter that giveaway with the drop of this review. So I'm going to end up reading I'm going to be reading the Three Jokers hardcover, which I end up having. I'm going to read that. We're going to be giving away a copy of that, given by our channel sponsor, channel sponsor, Fifth of Jack. Wow, it's been a while. Given by our channel affiliate, Panelbound Comics, where we end up being able to give that away. The next one's going to be at 500, and then we have 1,000. What we're going to be giving away at 500 is going to be a deluxe copy of The Long Halloween. We're going to review that and be able to give away that deluxe that we end up having. And the final at 1,000, well, let's just hit 500 first before we get too excited. And 1,000, there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. But let's work our way over to it. I've also decided that for the Barely There podcast, it's going to be a simple way that I'm going to end up setting this up. I'm going to have I don't have a defined day that I ended up going with. That changes now. Right now, we're changing that. The third Wednesday of each month, we're going to have a Barely There podcast episode. It may be just a hangout session. It may have a specific thought process of what I'd be talking about, but it's important. The third Wednesday of each month will be an episode of the Barely There podcast. I haven't quite figured out the time. I was leaning more towards a 6 or a 7:30 like we have today. I am open for suggestions. If you want to let us know down in the comments down below, we can end up doing it. It's going to be a great way that we're going to end up having that going on. I'm locked in on the day, though. It's going to be there because I think it's a great way to be able to have that set up to be able to go into it. Also, we're going to keep on going with that. We're going to have some stuff that's going to go over with it. We did have some awesome results that came over with that. Or we had some awesome results that ended up coming over with the channel. Excuse me. And what the choices is if you're part of our YouTube community, you ended up having a couple of votes where you ended up having a couple posts where you ended up voting for who is going to be our 2027 focus character or characters. And we had 2 waves first to figure out who would end up being. And each wave, we had 4 characters, and you ended up selecting 2. Each 2 from those 2 waves ended up going into the pool of being the final 4. In the final 4 this year, we had Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Batman, Thor, and Spider-Man. Those 4 ended up making it into it. It's important to say each wave had a week of voting to be able to figure out who was going to go on. I believe the only one that ended up in those original pool that actually had the choice was Batman. So we ended up having to go live and rolling the dice to figure out the other 3 positions that was in our final 4. In our final 4, I had the voting open up for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I wanted to make it so that anyone could end up voting, wanted to put over that. Made a video what we're going to end up covering and what we're going to end up breaking down. And I also made an announcement video. So if you haven't been able to see that and you end up watching your episode of Barely There podcast, episode 8, or should I say, you guys ended up selecting Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is going to be the focus of the Bears Lair of 2027. I'm excited because we have a whole bunch of Spider-Man behind me that I have to end up reading at some point, and I'm excited to be able to be doing that. So we're going to end up, doesn't mean that we're not going to cover other stuff, but we're still going to end up having at least one review of Spider-Man coming out each month. So we're going to be starting off with Spider-Man, or the Amazing Spider-Man, Volume 1, and be working our way over towards trying to get caught up. I haven't decided if I'm going to get the Wells book or not. The bare minimum way, that's right, bear in mind, we're barely getting there. The farthest I think that we're going to end up making it, if I do the bare minimum, is going to be Spider-Man or the Web of Spider-Man. So that would be the farthest. That'd be this entire top shelf right here. Granted, I'm hoping I'm getting farther along because that means that we are going to be stopped just before the David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane stories that goes on with that and onward. Granted, I'm hoping I'm getting more generations out there, but these are omnibuses, so this is going to be covering. This is going to end up having Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1, Spider-Man Untold Stories. Then we're going to get back on the Amazing Spider-Man train from Volume 2 all the way over to Volume 6. And then we end up jumping over into the Spectacular Spider-Man Volume 1. And then we're going to have Amazing Spider-Man Volume 7. That's where we end up having people like Frank Miller that's being involved. And then we're going to have Big Daddy Roger Stern out of this, followed by the Spider-Man, the Complete Black Costume saga, and then finish off with the Web of Spider-Man. That's going to be a great way that we're going to end up going with it. Those are going to be the books I'm going to commit over to, and that's what we're going to end up reading. It's a whole lot of reading. It's a whole lot of action. So don't be surprised that, well, you end up seeing a lot of Spidey. It's also important to say that might be not the only content that we're going to have of Spider-Man. You have stuff that we can end up doing deck techs with Magic the Gathering. We could have pack openings for Magic the Gathering as well. We could talk about other shows. Heck, maybe we'll end up watching the Spider-Man, the animated show to go over with it. Maybe even dive into the classic. I mean, the classic Spider-Man cartoon back in the 80s, the one that got me hooked and got me over with Dr. Doom being one of my favorite villains. I boldly remember one of those episodes. Maybe we can end up covering Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Or we can end up also talking about the movies of Spider-Man. I don't want to be talking about like Brand New Day, for instance. Well, I might end up doing that. I mean, that movie's almost made $200 billion. Or $200 million. Or, yeah, no, billions. Billions. That's right. It's in the billions for a Brand New Day. That's crazy. Either way, that's going to be a crazy amount that's going to go on with that. You have a bunch of, excuse me, sorry about that. We have a bunch of craziness that we can end up doing. And if we do end up hitting other goals, such as we end up fighting 500 subscribers, awesome. That's the main goal that I will end up liking. I would love us to get where we get to 1,000 subscribers is the big goal for us, but we'll get there. I'll keep on plugging as long as you guys keep on viewing. So with that being said, what kind of content do you really like? Do you like reviews? Do you like top 10s? Do you like, hey, let's do whatever we end up going with it? So just let us know what you're looking forward to down in the comments down below. Big thing is this sweeps or this giveaway is going to be limited to our YouTube channel. So if I end up posting any of this over at TikTok or anything like that, you got to follow over to the YouTube channel to be able to get to this. I do have a couple other giveaways planned coming down the pipeline where we're going to have one for TikTok and one for YouTube as well. I talked with Josh Greathouse, who ends up making the Bang series, and we're going to give away volume 1, 2, and 3 on both different medias. When is that? I don't know. I haven't figured that quite out yet. I just want to get the experience of the first giveaway underneath my belt to be able to get that going on. That copies of Big or Bang will end up coming over on both YouTube and on TikTok. I'll have different ways that we're going to end up dealing with that. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. And until that, before I go over with that, bear in mind that the giveaway is going to end up being in the review of the Three Jokers. That's right. The Three Jokers hardcover is going to end up breaking down over here, and we're going to end up breaking that down, and then we'll have in that exact video how to be able to enter the giveaway. Again, thank you guys for getting us to 200 subscribers. And I also have one more idea I want to try sharing with you. I'll stop sharing real quick. Like I said, one more idea. I'm a smaller YouTube channel trying to grow up to get bigger. So I'm thinking about making a series of, challenges. What's going on? How's it going over on the channel? Is that something you end up liking to have documented, opened up to you guys? Because either way, I'm going to make the videos, but having them as a private. If I open that up into you, it won't count towards the videos counts that we end up doing because it's something I'm already end up doing. And it's just a good library to be able to keep me on track and see how the experience was trying to get there. And so is that something you're interested into? Let us know down in the comments down below. I know I have a lot going on with the comments down below, but that's okay because each comment that you guys do put down, I do read, I do interact. And now I'm completely grateful for any kind of action that ends up going with that. Again, thank you guys for getting us over to 200 subscribers. Let's keep on growing. Let's keep on getting bigger. And until next time, we'll see you later.